Welcome to Nugget 181 with Steve Groman, and we are continuing our series with Joel White, a wonderful friend of ours in the North Country of New Hampshire. And as we learned in the last Nugget, Joel is quite the explorer. He is an author, and he was also a small business owner. He owned White Septic Service and serviced the North Country in a very important aspect of life, and that's emptying out septic tanks. You want to tell us how you got started and why? And
Yes, my father started it from nothing and did it for 10 years. Then he had 9 heart attacks in a row, small heart attacks. My 2 older brothers, one was in Berkshire Christian College, another one was in the Army. My sister was next in line and she couldn't do it. I had to hop into the truck at 14 years old, support the family. 5 years, me and my wife got married and we took over, and in 10 years we bought it, paid for it. We're in the A-frame that we're living in now. At the same time, they owned that as a camp. We kind of took it all over and turned it into a house over all these years.
And I want to interrupt you. It's not
I do
just
too.
a house.
I've been waiting for a spot to do that because A-frame is an understatement. I mean, it is what it is. But this place is unique. There is not another place like this.
It is a little different.
It is a little different. It's
Joel,
awesome, fabulous.
Joel loves the outdoors and the wood. One of the first times we came over to Joel's house, he has this really intriguing staircase to go to the second level, and he announced to us a very important thing about that.
Well, the tree itself is a white birch. It took 3.5 years looking for it. My carpenter friend are out in the woods together on your property before it was your property. And we both saw the tree at the same time, and we were separated by quite a distance. And we both ran over to the tree at the same time saying, that's it.
This is it. This is it.
We
That's
finally
cool.
found it. And then the hand railing to go with it was 7.5 years. Same thing there. I was so happy when I finally found it.
Yeah,
Because we like them growing that shape.
Right.
And not have to bend it. We do like hauling the trees inside the house.
And you have plenty of that evidence.
No,
His
But
house is fabulous.
Back to the septic business. At age 14, were you pretty much on your own, or were you working with your dad at the time?
That was
or
it. He stayed home. I had to go from a kid to
driving a septic truck?
driving the truck, no license.
Unbelievable.
You can't have a license for
Right.
You didn't have a license for a car until you're 16. You can't have a license for the truck I was driving until you're 18.
I think the statute of limitations have probably passed, so you're probably good till
Yeah,
this
But,
day,
the,
right?
but,
well said.
but the people that would need that service, especially in the wintertime, they don't want to wait 2 or 3 or 4 years for you to get a license.
No, they sure don't. We would have lost the business and everything. That was the whole thing of the whole.
That is admirable.
We just did what you had to do. So it was really good that I learned to drive standard when I was 9 years old. And at 12 years old, we're down in the fields pulling pennies with the truck and stunt driving with it. If I hadn't learned that when I was 12, I couldn't have hopped in the truck
Couldn't
at
just hop in and
14
go.
and supported the family.
I learned
That's
to drive
cool.
on a stick shift too, but I've never pulled pennies in a field. What
Oh,
does
you
that
haven't?
mean?
That means spinning around in circles on the wet grass.
Okay.
And or just going real fast and bringing the truck right around by slamming on your brakes and
Okay.
have the front brake shut off.
But you did that, well, up until you got rid of your truck because you sold the business.
Yes. Yeah, I never stopped.
We always saw, Joel's been here.
Rubber all over the road. Yeah, and the state troopers too. One state trooper says, in the winter, the business is dead, so you pretty much stop. You go out and do a few. But then springtime starts again. And I was talking to a state trooper, and he says, we can tell when springtime's here. I says, oh, how do you tell? He says, your rubber marks out at the end of the forest.
rubber marks are out there.
So, back at it.
So what can you tell us about emptying septic tanks? I mean, a lot of people don't know what a septic tank is. They live in the city. They just flush the commode and the drain and it goes. But out in rural areas and in some small communities, people do have septic tanks. It's a holding tank that holds their...
Holds all your solids.
Right.
And then it kind of is like a filter. And it's like the filter in your car. If you don't keep your filter clean, it ruins the motor. Well, in this case, your motor would be the leach field, where the water goes when it leaves your tank. And so if you let your tank go too long, the solids get too thick, they go out into the leach field and plug it. And that's thousands of dollars to replace. So you want to make sure you take care of your tank. And most of the time, it's 2 people on a 1,000-gallon tank. Once every 3 years is when you get it pumped. Then you make sure you're not ruining your leach field. So we go and we collect that and take it to a treatment plant. When we first started, there was no treatment plants. We dumped right over the town dump trash.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. They let us back
that
into
right?
one corner, and that's where you dumped, right over the trash
Wow.
pile.
Times have changed, huh?
There was nothing.
Wow.
They didn't know what to do with it. It was really big difference. And they were all metal tanks back then. Over time, they switched to cement. And so a lot of things have happened over the 45 years that I ran it.
I imagine you've seen a bunch of change.
Oh, boy.
I remember the tank and the piping, the plumbing, whatever you want to call it, on your truck. It's all heated because
Yes. So
you can't let it freeze up while you're working.
the thing is, Dad was always good at coming up with good ideas for things. When he started pumping, he took exhaust pipe, bent it in a 45-degree angle, and put a handle on it. So you would put the hose, hitch it to this metal end so you could vacuum the tank out like a vacuum cleaner. No other business does that. Nowhere. Everybody, all the pumping people who come to see my truck, they say, "What's that?" when they look at it.
Yeah.
So we've always pumped tanks different than anybody else. And you can clean it, get into the corners, do everything a lot better job.
Nice.
So that's put ours out ahead of anybody else's businesses.
I notice your grandkids actually call you Pepe.
Because of the skunk on the doors, and the skunk was on the back of my shirts, and it says, "You make it, we take it. You dump it, we pump it." And we had the skunk on there, and it was the prettiest skunk we've ever seen. I'm not sure where they wound up getting it from. Because of Bugs Bunny cartoons, I want to bring my grandkids up on good cartoons. There's Pepe Le Pew. So they call me Pepe because of the skunk.
But you don't stink too bad, do you?
No, I never get sick. Things going around, colds and everything, I never would catch it. I'm always making sure you don't rub your eyes, you don't touch your food, you don't wash your hands all
You
the time.
did all the COVID
Did it
rules
anyway.
before.
Yes. Yeah.
Being sanitary is not a bad thing.
No, and especially in that business.
Especially in that business.
All right.
I know one of the things
You wash your hands more than any operating room doctor.
Yes.
It probably does.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sure.
probably a tie.
It might well be a tie.
Well, what was some of the most interesting things on that, of owning that business for all those years?
You ever find anything really weird that...
Once a year at least, you'd have to get into the back of the tank and shovel the gravel out. The gravel would build up in the bottom of the tank, and now you're taking up room that you need for septic.
How do you get in the tank?
There's a great big door up on top.
Okay.
And there's one on the back. So you'd open up both doors, and there's a ladder. You go down the ladder, and you shovel the stuff out the back.
You flush the tank out when you dump it?
Yeah, I rinse it out a few times before I do that.
Well, I would
And
hope
you're
so.
wearing, breathing equipment, and you got a raincoat on and stuff
Okay.
like that. And you'd shovel out that gravel, and you would always see razor blades, marbles, money, weebles that don't wobble anymore, false teeth, all kinds of stuff in that gravel.
That's funny.
It's-
Is that why it's called gravel, or was there really gravel?
No,
Like-
it's real
like
gravel.
Real
because
gravel
it's-
rocks.
It's getting into the tank,
Just all
from
that
them
stuff
opening
that-
the covers and knocking it in, or it knocked in when they put the tank in with a backhoe. So you see that a lot. Also, I wanted to have fun during my working and not have it just work all the time. Put special switches on the dash to shut the front brakes off or the rear brakes so you could go sideways and stunt drive with it. Being 14 years old, I have to take the septic truck to school with me. So when you're downtown...
Oh, I bet the girls just loved you, right?
They did.
No wonder you had to
They,
get a girl from out of town.
They're hopping in the truck. They wanted to ride in it to go to school.
No way.
I come into the parking lot in the winter and I'm pulling pennies across the parking lot. They would get out. More kids would run down, hop in the truck. They wanted to do it too. Most people would think, the septic guy at school is going to get picked on.
Right.
Everybody loved it. It never got picked on because of it, because they love to go ride in the truck. After school, I go to work. So there'd be somebody, a friend from school, that would hop in with me and go. There was always people riding with me that wanted to go sideways and have fun and stunt drive in a septic truck.
You're right. It is a unique truck.
I think you have a fellow stunt driver living on the mountain with you.
Yeah, you went to school with him.
Tim O'Neill.
Yeah, it's
Tim
right next
O'Neill.
door here, right?
We grew up together at school, and when he was young, he had long hair, and I didn't. And later, I got my long hair, and he cut his short. We would go riding and spinning around in the truck and everything, and then he got into rally racing.
Yeah.
So then he turned out really big, and he wound up right here on the mountain behind me. So he's close by.
Quite an outfit over there, too.
Keeps a car on hand for me, rear-wheel drive to go spinning around, and I've had the pumper out there on his race course.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, no, that'd be cool.
Yeah, he
that'd be
took us
cool.
on a tour
Yeah, we went-
the other day.
And I did get write-up in a big paper that covers the whole United States because we put a jack behind the front bumper that pivots down, push a button, and air jacks the front of the truck up off the ground. So you get it all out at a treatment plant where it's flat. People drive away with 100 gallons still in their truck.
Sure.
And mine would jack up, get it all out. Having the exhaust running in the winter along the bottom of the tank and out on the valve so it heated everything up.
Yeah.
and kept it from freezing in the winter. And then on top of your tank, you have your pipes where the pump takes the air out of the tank to suck it in to the bottom. And they have a ball hanging down in those up on top. And that ball floats up and shuts it off. Well, if your truck is on a slant, it shuts it off early. You can't fill your tank full.
Right.
So I invented both ends. No matter what angle your truck's angled on, it would fill the tank full. So we had all kinds of things that no other trucks have out there for septic trucks.
And has it always been the blue that
Yes.
it has? I mean, that's all we've ever seen that I remember.
No, my father had white, red. He had all kinds of colors. So as soon as I took over,
with you, it's been
everything
blue.
was the 2 different color blues.
Yeah, it's a very memorable looking rig.
And all the paintings, the
Yes.
license plate saying 1+2 PU.
Yes.
The,
Everything unique.
this job really stinks.
Stuff like that, right?
Yes.
You could go on for hours with one-liners.
But somebody's got to do it.
Toilet, a bubble, toilet, trouble. The picture of a toilet with the bubbles coming out of it.
Yeah, and these are things that are on the truck.
They're on the truck.
It was on the truck, painted. Yes.
The crazy man in the outhouse popping a wheelie with a motor in it, and it says, "We rush so you can flush." Flies at the end of the pinstriping all over the truck. And so that was a billboard going down the road. And everybody would say that. I saw your truck the other day. That reminded me.
Oh, it's
I gotta
definitely
get
unique.
pumped.
Yeah.
So it worked really good.
Well, I guess we will wrap up our second nugget with our friend Joel White of the North Country. We are going to do one more nugget with Joel, and this one is going to be a bang-up job.